Adawam. I pray this devil die and get every evil thing the Lord God can give. And listen, I know you look at us in the state we in right now. Come here, SHALAM. Come here, SHALAM. I know you look at us in the state we in right now. Black people on drugs, and we suffering and dying. And I know it seems like you can do whatever you want to this people. I know it seems like this, but the time for glorifying yourself is soon at an end.
Shalom, Israel. Welcome to the I.S.U.P.K in Miami, Florida. Today we have Priest and Officer Palpuas, and reading we have Priest and Officer GEN.YAHANNA. And our topic today is Christ is returning. And in this returning, we like to go to the beginning of the origin, the beginning of things. And let's see who prophesied of the returning first. Let's go into the book of Isaiah, chapter 9. Let's go there, priest, and find out what Isaiah had to say.
Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6.
That is in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. For you listeners out there, read.
For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.
Let's see. It says his name should be called Mighty One, Prince of Peace. That sounds more like Christ, Yahushua in the Hebrew. That's who's returning to save his people. Let's go to Matthew 1:21. Let's get a little more clear and get a quicker, sharper detail on that. In Matthew chapter 1, verse 21.
Matthew 1, verse 21.
Yes.
And he shall bring forth a son, or Salaki, and she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua.
And that she is Mary, the mother of Christ. She's going to bring forth a son, and his name shall be called Yahushua. In English, we know it as Jesus Christ. Okay, anointed Savior. Okay, he's going to save his people. Read that.
For he shall save his people from their sins.
His people from their sins. Now let's go back to Isaiah in the 7th verse. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 7. Because we're going to make it to you clear that someone is returning. And that someone is Yahushua. Read.
Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end.
Of the increase of his government. Possessive noun, it's saying his government. That's Yahushua. Government meaning he's going to rule his people. Read.
Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Most High of hosts will perform this.
When you read in Matthew chapter 1, it gives you the breakdown, the lineage of Jesus Christ, how his lineage came through the seed of King David. That's why it's telling you about the throne. Okay? His lineage came through King David, meaning rulership, ruling blood, family bloodline. Okay? That's who's going to be ruling their people with an increase, it says. Okay, let's go from there. Let's go further proof into the New Testaments. We want to go into the New Testaments and get some clarity from a high priest. Okay, we have a witness now. Let's get a witness in John chapter 11. And we'll start around about verse 49. And from there, we're going to find out the high priest's name and what he prophesied. Okay, to prove all things. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Read.
John chapter 11, verse 48. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them called Caiaphas, being...
Hold on, let's go back. In the beginning, they're speaking about knowing that Christ is coming, his return, and all the great and wonderful things that he's doing for his people. They were concerned that they were going to lose their positions. Okay? That was just evil thinking in itself. But let's see what the high priest has to say about that. Read it.
And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all.
He told the Sadducees and the Pharisees that you know nothing at all. But you think you know, you don't know anything. Now he's going to give them the truth and the prophecy. Read it.
Nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this...
Right there. It says, go back to that one line back there. That the one man should die.
That one man should die for the people. And
for the people. Okay? He stated that one man should die for the people. And it's the next line say right there.
And that the whole nation perish not.
That the whole nation perish not. For he shall save his people from their sins. That's what that line is telling you right there. It says the people, and then that whole nation shall not perish. Read that one more time to give us one more drop of clarity.
Nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not.
See? Right then and there. Now what verse is that you stopped at?
50.
50, go to verse 51 now.
And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation.
He prophesied that Yahushua, meaning the anointed Savior, Yahushua Mashiach, Jesus Christ in English, would die for his people. And that's what it says in Matthew 1:21. It says, for he shall save his people. And in the midst of saving them, someone has to die. See, that's why he's called also the last sacrifice. Go to verse 52 from there.
And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad.
For he should die for the children of God which are scattered abroad. Let's go to James 1:1 and find out who the children of God are, because they were scattered. This is how you get further proof and detail into the matter of Yahushua Mashiach's return. Okay, we're looking for someone who's returning to save his people from their sins. You got it, Hebrew? Let's get that.
James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushua Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
See, the 12 tribes, meaning the nation of Israel, that's who the children of God are, which were scattered abroad. Tell them where you read it from.
James 1:1.
That's it, right there. So let's go back. Let's get further proof. Now we want to read Matthew 15 and 24 real quick. Just to drop some more evidence. See, because it is evidence, okay, that Yahushua Mashiach is returning. Okay, so we want to have all the proof, all the facts. We want to lay it down. We want to get into the breakdown as far as we can go. What do we have, Hebrew?
But he answered and said,
tell them where you at, Hebrew.
Matthew 15 and 24.
That's right.
But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
That's the children of God which are scattered abroad. The lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay? The house is the nation. Okay? Israel is who they are. Okay? Let's go now. Let's find out what this man looks like. Because in the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 5 and 6, Hebrew, we want to read and find out in the Old Testament. Because we don't want to just say we can only read it in the New about Christ. We want to show you that in the Old and the New, it was written aforetime for our learning, as the scriptures say, that this man was going to die for his nation, his people, okay, and return to them. And you can only read about this in the Bible. What do we have in Daniel chapter 10, verse 5 and 6?
Daniel 10, verse 5. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz.
All right, now he looked up, and behold, he was having a vision. And he looked up, and he saw this man dressed in linen. He say he had on a linen garment, and say on his waist. It doesn't say on his waist, but it's describing he had on fine gold of Uphaz, and that was on his waist, called a war belt. All right, read that one more time just to edify the crowd so they can go back and check it out themselves. Tell them where you at.
Daniel 10 and 5. Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz.
It says his loins, meaning his mid-waist. Point proven, okay? He wore a war belt made of gold, and that gold at that time, the finest gold, came from Uphaz. That's it on that? All right, let's go to Revelations. Find out John the Revelator, what did he see? Let's find out, did he see anything like what Daniel saw? In chapter 1, verse 13. That's where we want to start. Because when we get proof, we want to bring it out. And we want to bring out who Christ is, who he died for. Now we want to know, what does he look like? Read.
Revelations 1 and 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man.
The midst of the 7 candlesticks. The 7 candlesticks are representing the 7 churches that came out of Asia Minor, or we know as Asia. Read.
Clothed with a garment down to the foot.
Daniel saw him with a garment made of linen. Read.
And girt about the paps with the golden girdle.
And girded about the paps, the midsection, his loins, with a golden girdle. So Daniel's seeing the same man that John the Revelator seeing, who we know today as Yahweh Shah, also Jesus Christ. Read.
His head and his hairs were white like wool.
Now we get more further description to see what he physically looks like. It says his head and his hairs. The hair on his face and on his head was white like wool. Only one type of people we know, and that are your Negroid people, which have woolly textured hair. Read.
And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Read.
And his feet like unto fine brass.
They're given the color and description of his feet, like fine brass. Brass derives from the color brown. Read.
As if they burned in a furnace.
Not only were they brown, they were dark brown, because it says as if they were burned in a furnace, meaning they were dark brown. So now we're looking for a dark brown skinned man with woolly hair, wool hairs on his face and his head. Okay, that gives you a description of the return of Christ. Okay, and when you read further in the Bible, it gives you further proof. And that's our time, Israel. Shalom.
When nowadays I work hard on the job till I come cross y'all. Still like I'm a criminal. Crime and get caught, it could be your first charge. Like, man, you ain't getting the minimum. It go dip, squat, 5-mile run. Push, pull, sit on. Goddamn, get strong. Looking at my baby, trying to keep them doing wrong. It's too long before they grow. I can't leave them on their own. They killed Day like he had a 30-day cake. The news covering up the story, but they say it took me back to the time we lost Otis. Pretending these crackers, they gon' tell you something bogus. And I'm thinking like, damn, what you tell the kids? We tried to put up a fight, but did we fail the kids? Cause they really got us looking like no damn good. And why success got to cost my manhood?